We are ready to dine. Our food and wine columnist Shiva Reddy is back with us in studio, and today she's taking a closer look at how the restaurant landscape is changing overall. Shiva, hello there.
Hi, Gloria.
It's great to see you.
Likewise.
I love Mondays when
I
you
do
come
too.
in here.
I know it doesn't feel like a Monday.
Well, this whole issue of restaurant culture and such was something that we've been mulling over and talking about a lot on the show. Just last week, I had a chance to speak with Shiva Reddy, the owner of Aleph in Vancouver. Just listen to a little of what he had to say.
Because when you weigh it out between having to go on for a $60,000 loan for a few years with interest in comparison to paying the $40,000 now and saving that money, of course that was an obvious choice. So we had to do that and pull on some line of credits and work that out. But
was it close? Were you sweating it there for a while?
We were halfway. By the time we had to pay, we were halfway. But then there was like end of year taxes and the GST for the last few quarters. It's just never ending.
So that was Shiva Reddy, the owner of Aleph. Now, he was just talking about what he had to go through to pay off the CBA loans. That there was they had the deadline earlier this year. But he also had a conversation about just how people dine these days, and that is changing. I mean, in light of so many closures, so many challenges, so many cost increases, that type of thing. What are you seeing in terms of how people own and operate restaurants?
And I think you hit it right there. Like, there's been this domino effect of closures in Vancouver. Today alone, there's about 3 restaurants that have closed. There's Novella, which is a part of the Publish Group. There's also Salatai, which is just down on Burrard Street. It's been around for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
And then you also have Arbor, which I happen to stop by. It's a neighborhood joint that I love popping by. And I wasn't expecting them to close because they're just so beloved. But I was having this conversation with Shira Bluestein, who owns it, along with Paul McCloskey. And she was just saying, well, love will not pay the bills. You have to actually come in and you have to support your restaurants, your neighborhood restaurants. And yes, CBA as well as inflation all of a sudden, and just having to pay off all of these debts for so long and dealing with COVID has been really challenging for the restaurant industry.
Right. Well, you mentioned Shira and Arbor, and they do have some exciting new plans. So we're going to be hearing more about that on tomorrow's show as well. But I know a lot of people are like, what? I love this place. Why is it closing down? But if you're not going regularly, they still have to pay their bills. So she makes a really good point as well. So let's just talk about consumer habits, people eating out, because it's not just the restaurants that are having difficult times, it's people too. What kind of shift have we been seeing in how people have been dining?
Yeah, it's changed so much here. I'm seeing that even working at Burdock, we have a Michelin star, but we have not been busy, and people expect us to be busy all the time. So it's just erratic, where we might have 50 guests in the book one day, and then all of a sudden the next day there's only 8 diners in total. And so looking at staffing, looking at your produce amounts, you just can't do that. And it's just been happening nonstop, where you just can't predict what's going to happen there. People are also shifting in terms of what they want in terms of dining. They don't necessarily want that big dining experience of a tasting menu like they did right after COVID when they were craving that. Now people want a la carte. They want something quick, something easy. And also, people are dining differently in that they're not actually dining later. They're all dining earlier, because people aren't necessarily working in an office. They're not leaving the office and going and grabbing a bite for dinner or going out late with their staff. Instead, people are dining early and then they're going home early. So that 9 o'clock, 9:30 seating is kind of eradicated in the restaurant world right now.
Right. Well, and people are looking for good value along the way. So when we're talking about good value, how is that reflected in sort of the choices they're making?
Yeah, so I'm seeing a really big shift in that people are looking for happy hours, which is totally understandable. It's kind of the best. But oftentimes this would be a time when restaurants wouldn't be able to necessarily offer you the best quality. In some places would be able to do that. But a lot of people are shifting that. They're dining happy hour instead of actually going out for a full meal. And then guest expectations are a little bit different. They're having a little bit more of a casual time than a full fine dining experience.
I see. So is there a restaurant that you know that has been navigating these challenging waters? I'll say choppy waters, these unprecedented times, because, we're talking pre-COVID, then we're talking closures when everybody experienced that. And now a lot of people have a lot of financial challenges as well. So who's hitting the mark right now?
Yeah, there's 2 restaurants for me. There's Bar Tartar, which they have a very interesting way of running where every week there's a different chef, or even within a week they might have 2 different chefs, but they always have a schedule, so you could see that in advance. They are only operating in the evenings. You are essentially dealing with counter service where you go up and you get your wine, great service, and then you have the surprise of a chef coming in that you may not be able to see normally. And here you're getting to see that pop up because chefs can't necessarily afford to have a restaurant anymore. So it's a really interesting coordination of people coming together. You're also getting to see this brand new restaurant called Gary's. They're located on 12th on Granville. And I went there just a couple weeks ago and it was outstanding. They hit the mark of a neighborhood joint where your prices were a great value. They were giving you so much in terms of food and quality. And everybody in there was just so happy to be there, both front, back, and the guests. So I think those are 2 spots that are wonderful.
Well, and that's a great location. That was a former Fiore was in there
And Sienna.
prior. And
Yeah.
Sienna was in there as well. I mean, you've got the Stanley Theatre around. You get a lot of the theatre crowd as well.
Totally.
But there's also a lot of people who live in that South Granville area. So it's good to see that Gary's is taking off as well. Shiva, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's Shiva Reddy, our guide to the world of food and wine. She joins us every Monday around this time now.